Welcome to Sukima English News. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Mark.
Today we'll look at a food poisoning outbreak in Akita, a surprising early bear warning, and a new era for lunar exploration. Our first story comes from Akita Prefecture, where a food poisoning outbreak occurred at a hospital and care facility. On March 14, 2026, a patient at Shokugata Hospital reported symptoms like fever and diarrhea. This led to similar symptoms in 28 people, including other patients and residents of the adjacent Kuriyama care facility. The cause was food served by the operating corporation.
What was the specific cause, and how widespread was it?
Investigations found salmonella bacteria in stool samples from 20 patients and one cook. Thankfully, everyone is now recovering. The Akita prefectural government suspended the corporation's meal service for 3 days.
Salmonella is a common cause of food poisoning, isn't it?
Yes, salmonella bacteria live in many animals. Undercooked chicken or eggs are frequent culprits. Nationally, food poisoning incidents have been between 700 and 1100 per year in Japan for the last 5 years. In 2024, over 1,000 cases affected more than 14,000 people, an increase from the previous year.
What are the most common causes nationwide?
For incidents, anisakis, norovirus, and campylobacter are consistently at the top. However, in terms of people affected, norovirus causes the most cases, followed by Clostridium perfringens and Campylobacter. Norovirus leads to many cases every year, including large outbreaks with over 500 people.
It's interesting that the top causes differ depending on whether you count incidents or people affected.
True. Even in Akita, while overall cases have decreased over 50 years, occasional incidents involve poisonous wild plants and mushrooms. Since 1999, Campylobacter and norovirus have been the leading causes in Akita.
So salmonella is less common than norovirus or campylobacter recently, but still a threat.
Absolutely. The incident in Nikaho City highlights ongoing risks, especially in healthcare and elder care settings. These facilities are responsible for vulnerable individuals, making strict hygiene paramount.
What are the potential legal consequences for negligence?
Under Japan's Food Sanitation Act, violations can lead to imprisonment for up to 3 years or fines up to 3 million yen. If a corporation is responsible, the fine can be up to 100 million yen. The 3-day suspension is an administrative measure.
Beyond legal penalties, what are the broader impacts?
Food poisoning incidents can severely damage a facility's reputation and trust. This can lead to economic losses and, most importantly, direct health issues for patients and residents.
So preventing these outbreaks is crucial for well-being.
Exactly. To prevent salmonella, thorough cooking, proper cleaning, and preventing cross-contamination are key. Japan also promotes Heisei Chippy-based hygiene management.
A combination of regulations and awareness seems best.
That's right. With national cases and large outbreaks rising, vigilance is more important than ever. This incident reminds all food service providers to maintain the highest hygiene standards.
It's a concerning trend, and it's good to be informed about risks and prevention.
Indeed, we'll continue to follow these health and safety stories. Let's shift gears to a story concerning wildlife encounters in Japan.
Oh, the increasing bear sightings?
Exactly. There's been a surge in bear appearances, and many regions are issuing warnings earlier than usual.
What's behind this rise in bear activity?
Several factors. Bears are emerging from hibernation earlier, possibly due to climate change.
So warmer winters mean they wake up sooner?
It does, but it's also habitat expansion and food shortages.
Food shortages?
Precisely. Acorn crops are failing more often. When bears can't find enough, they venture closer to human settlements.
That's a direct link to human safety. What about the bear population?
Protection policies have led to an increase in bear numbers.
So more bears looking for food, waking up earlier.
It is, and sadly, some are becoming accustomed to human food sources.
That's a frightening thought.
Yes, and the problem is extending further into urban and residential areas.
What does the data show for this year?
From April to September, there were 108 bear-related injuries nationwide. Tragically, 7 people have died.
7 deaths? That's a high pace. And how many sightings?
From April to August alone, over 16,000 reported bear sightings.
16,000? Are certain prefectures more affected?
Yes, Iwate, Akita, and Aomori have a high number of sightings. Iwate and Akita also lead in injuries.
It sounds severe in the Tohoku region.
It is. Sightings and injuries have been steadily increasing year by year.
When was the peak?
In fiscal year 2023, there were 219 injuries and 6 fatalities, the highest on record.
So this year is on track to surpass that.
It strongly suggests this is a structural issue.
And the bear population has grown significantly.
Yes, brown bears have more than doubled in 30 years, reaching around 11,700.
More than doubled. What about Asiatic black bears?
Their distribution area is also expanding, with some estimates suggesting a 15% annual increase in certain regions.
Are there other human-related factors?
Definitely. Human living areas and forest development are encroaching on their habitats.
And the aging and depopulation of rural areas?
That's right. As populations decrease, the boundaries between wildlife and human spaces blur.
So it's a complex interplay.
Exactly. All these factors are compounding.
It highlights how interconnected our environment is. What's being done?
Local governments urge vigilance, advising residents to avoid walking alone in forests and secure garbage.
Practical advice, but difficult for those living near bear habitats.
It certainly is. This impacts the safety and daily lives of many Japanese citizens.
It's a stark reminder that we share our planet with wildlife.
A very important point. This trend underscores the need for continued research and proactive measures. Let's shift gears to space exploration for our final story. This one is about NASA's Artemis II mission and what it signifies for the future of our relationship with the moon.
The moon, right? What's the big news with Artemis II?
Artemis II is a historic mission planned by NASA. It aims to send 4 astronauts on a journey around the moon. This will be the first time humans have traveled to lunar orbit since 1972.
Wow, over 50 years, so it's more than just a visit? What's the broader goal?
The Artemis program isn't just about reaching the moon again, it's a long-term strategy for sustained lunar presence and future crewed missions to Mars. Artemis II is the crucial first step.
I see, so it's about testing the waters for future, more ambitious missions. What does this mean for how we view the moon?
Past lunar exploration was mainly for scientific discovery, but with Artemis, the moon is shifting from an object of exploration to a target for development.
Development? That's a significant change. What kind of development?
The article mentions utilizing lunar resources like water ice and building infrastructure. The ultimate goal is to establish the moon as a hub for further space activities.
So, not just planting a flag, but building something practical. How are they funding this?
NASA's budget allocations are key. For example, the proposed fiscal year 2024 budget includes substantial funding for Artemis.
That makes sense. Large projects need significant backing. Are private companies involved?
Definitely. Firms like SpaceX and Blue Origin are developing lunar landers and spacecraft, vital for collaboration with NASA.
Interesting how public and private sectors work together. What about international cooperation?
While NASA leads, other agencies like ESA, the Canadian Space Agency, and even China and Russia show interest. NASA collaborates with ESA and CSA on Artemis.
So cooperation and competition globally. Any concrete numbers or timelines for resource development?
Specific details on lunar resource development and market sizes aren't publicly available yet. However, NASA confirms Artemis II will use the Orion spacecraft and a Space Launch System rocket.
Even without exact figures, the intention is clear. Move beyond exploration. How might this lunar development affect Japan?
Japan has its own lunar ambitions. JAXA is participating in Artemis. Japanese technology could play a role in infrastructure or resource utilization.
So, an opportunity for Japan to contribute and benefit. It sounds like the moon is becoming a much more active place.
This shift from exploration to development marks a new era, potentially opening new economic and scientific frontiers.
A truly exciting prospect. The moon as a resource and hub is revolutionary.
It shows how far our vision for space has evolved since Apollo. The next few decades will likely be transformative. Now let's look at some key vocabulary from today's stories. First up, from the food poisoning story, we have the phrase food poisoning outbreak, burak. This means a sudden increase in cases of illness caused by eating contaminated food. For example, The restaurant was shut down after a food poisoning outbreak sickened dozens of customers.
That's a clear and concerning situation.
Moving on to the bear story, a useful phrase is venture closer. This means to go into a place or situation that is new or dangerous. For example, hungry bears may venture closer to towns in search of food.
It highlights the risk when animals come into human areas.
Next, from the space story, let's look at sustained lunar presence. This refers to maintaining a continuous or long-term human activity or habitation on the moon. For example, the Artemis program aims for a sustained lunar presence before Mars missions.
That paints a picture of a more permanent future on the moon.
Back to the food poisoning report, a key term is culprits. This refers to the people or things that are responsible for something bad. For example, undercooked chicken was identified as one of the culprits in the outbreak.
It's about pinpointing the source of the problem.
From the bear story, we have the phrase surge in appearances. This describes a sudden and significant increase in the number of times something or someone is seen. For example, there has been a surge in appearances of wild animals in urban parks.
It indicates a growing trend or problem.
Finally, from the Artemis mission, our last phrase is object of development. This means something that is being actively worked on or improved, often for practical use or profit. For example, the moon is now seen as an object of development, not just exploration.
A very important shift in perspective for humanity's future in space.
Time for our shadowing practice. Let's use the key vocabulary in sentences close to the actual news. A hospital and care facility in秋田shut down their meal service after a food poisoning outbreak caused by salmonella.
Let's try that one more time at normal speed.
A hospital and care facility in秋田shut down their meal service after a food poisoning outbreak caused by salmonella. As acorn crops fail more often, hungry bears venture closer to towns and residential areas across Japan.
Okay, let's hear that again, please.
As acorn crops fail more often, hungry bears venture closer to towns and residential areas across Japan. NASA's Artemis 2 is a key step toward achieving a sustained lunar presence before sending humans to Mars.
One more time, at a normal pace.
NASA's Artemis 2 is a key step toward achieving a sustained lunar presence before sending humans to Mars. Salmonella bacteria found in food prepared at the秋田facility were identified as the culprits of the outbreak.
Ready for the next one.
Salmonella bacteria found in food prepared at the秋田facility were identified as the culprits of the outbreak. Japan saw a surge in bear appearances, with over 16,000 sightings reported between April and August alone.
Let's practice that one again.
Japan saw a surge in bear appearances, with over 16,000 sightings reported between April and August alone. With Artemis 2, the moon is shifting from an object of exploration to an object of development for humanity.
One last time, please.
With Artemis 2, the moon is shifting from an object of exploration to an object of development for humanity. That's all for today's Sukima English news.
We hope you learned some new English phrases.
Keep practicing English every day.
Subscribe to our channel for more lessons.
See you next time. Goodbye.